There is something very disturbing about Team Avatar. And it's just that they all seemed, with the exception of Aang, the rest of Team Avatar just seemed way too willing to um, kill the Fire Lord. And so, remember, shortly before Sozin's Comet, Aang was having reservations about taking the Fire Lord's life, about killing Ozai. And Zuko was urging him to kill Ozai. Toph was pretty much supported that idea too, and so did Katara and Sokka. And Sokka was just overly enthusiastic about the idea of killing Ozai. And it's just so disturbing to me how the rest of Team Avatar was just completely willing to kill Ozai. And remember, originally, the original plan was for all of Team Avatar, Zuko, Toph, Suki, Sokka, Katara, and Aang, to face down Ozai. They were all supposed to fight him. And so that means that personally, Suki, Zuko, Toph, Sokka, and Katara were all okay with the idea of killing Ozai, taking another human life. And the fact that only Aang just had concerns about that is massively disturbing to me. And the other thing is that, a side note is that Aang, like, what was he thinking of doing during the solar eclipse? Like, if the solar eclipse invasion had not failed, the Day of Black Sun, as they call it, if that hadn't failed, well, then Aang would have had to fight Fire Lord Ozai, who was completely powerless. Like, Fire Lord Ozai wouldn't have been able to bend during those 8 minutes. So would Aang have just killed a defenseless human being? I mean, Ozai is probably just as agile as Azula, and he probably wouldn't have gone down so easily. But like, what was Aang planning to do with the Fire Lord then? So to criticize Avatar Aang a little bit, he should have maybe thought it out even earlier and thought about what he would do with the Fire Lord during Black Sun when the Fire Lord didn't even have bending. But yeah, I mean, it shows that Aang has a moral compass when it comes to the idea of dealing with human life. And sure, you can add the fact that Aang had qualms about killing Ozai, because Aang was raised an air nomad, pacifist, and all that stuff. But I mean, that's just basic human decency. Like, you shouldn't, like, trying to kill a person, the idea of killing a person is something obviously you should never do, and it really shouldn't come that easily. And the fact that it came so easily to Katara's Sokka, Zuko, Toph, and Suki is just a little disturbing, to say the least. And as I said, the Sokka part is actually the most disturbing to me. Sokka disturbs me the most, because he's just so enthusiastic about the idea of killing Ozai, and he's like, "Oh, the Avatar can just do anything. You can just do this and that, and then you can just kill him." And like Sokka, chill. And so let's analyze other people. Obviously, Suki. I mean, she did have her island, her village burned down by the Fire Nation by Zuko, ironically. So Suki wouldn't like the Fire Nation, obviously. And Katara, her mother was killed by the Fire Nation. And Toph, well, she's just very tough and doesn't have problems with violence. And Zuko, like Ozai, is the man who ruined his life and scarred him for life, quite literally. And also, like, Ozai has been absolutely terrible, phenomenally terrible to Zuko. So obviously, it makes sense why Zuko, Toph, Suki, Sokka, and Katara would be okay with killing the Fire Lord. But come on, think about it. Aang had his entire people, had all of his people, the air nomads, wiped out by the Fire Nation. All the air nomads, all of Aang's people were destroyed by the Fire Nation. So it would make sense for Aang to want to kill Ozai the most, but Aang is the only one who wants to spare Ozai's life. Now, on an intelligence level, obviously, Team Avatar is right, because Ozai is way too dangerous to be kept around. And so it would be the right thing to take out Ozai. But on a moral level, it's just like I have no problem with the idea that obviously Ozai should be taken out because he's way too dangerous and he shouldn't be left around. But the fact that the idea of killing Ozai comes so easily to the rest of these guys, and Sokka's so enthusiastic about it, is just all the more disturbing to me. And as a final side note, I will say that in a fight against Ozai, if Team Avatar had fought Ozai, I think Toph and Suki would have just been useless in the fight because Ozai was flying around most of the time, so Toph wouldn't be able to see him with her seismic sense. And Suki is a non-bender, and with like Ozai shooting down all the flames in the world, that would not have been useless. And with Sokka, I mean, he's pretty smart, so maybe he would have figured out something to take out down the Fire Lord Ozai. With Katara, I mean, she needs water, and with Zuko, like I think Zuko is the only one who might have been able to keep up with Ozai in that fight, other than Aang, because Zuko would have firebending, and he's got a lot better. So ultimately, it turned out the way he did, and I'm glad that Aang took Ozai's bending away, and I hope Ozai is still locked up at the time of the Legend of Korra. If you watch my other video, I hope Ozai stayed in the jail for a long time. But yes, the Team Avatar's moral compass, or lack of one, was very disturbing.